Welcome into the Coca-Cola 600 edition of the Wedge Adjustment NASCAR DFS show. I'm your host, Josh Neal. You can follow me on Twitter at RotoRacer. I'm joined alongside, as always, by PJ Frappier. You can follow him on Twitter at PJFrapDFS. This week, NASCAR brings us to Charlotte Motor Speedway, which is an intermediate track. The race is actually broken down into 4 segments this week, each consisting of 100 laps. So with that being said, with that many segments, with that many cautions as we're expecting, there's probably going to be multiple dominators in this race. I think me and PJ have agreed what we're going to do with our strategy is 3 dominators and the rest mixing in some place differential and some, unknown guys that we feel like will go slightly under owned than what they should be. With that being said, we're going to do our salary ranges again. The first salary range is going to be 4,500 with Derek Cope, ending with 6,100 Cole Witt. The next series is Chris Buescher at 6,300 and ending with Austin Dillon at 7,600. The next stage is Eric Jones at 7,800, ending with Chase Elliott at 9,300. And the final tier stage, whatever you want to call it, is Joey Logano at 9,600 and ending with Martin Truex at 10,700. I believe we're ready to start. Don't you?
Yeah, let's do it. It's going to be a tough week. It really is. We kind of talked about it before, but like you had mentioned, 2 to 3 dominators, at least 2, mostly 3 in each lineup, and obviously goes without saying, just lock in Kyle Larson.
Yeah, if you don't, then it's going to be a long 600 miles, 400 laps, 4 hours for you. Just say that.
Just had to get that out of the way.
Yeah. It's been 2 weeks since we did this. We might be a little rusty. Give us a break here. We're getting back into it just like you guys are. It's nice to take a break, by the way. And there was lightning and there's thunder outside, so – don't mind that. It's coming for Charlotte here in a couple hours. We'll get into the track situation later about the rain and stuff. But let's start out. So there's only one guy in this first tier that me or PJ like, and that would be me that likes this guy. Corey LaJoie at 4,800. Now, I've did this stuff before. I did it at Bristol. I think it was Timmy Hill that I was on. The thing that you do with these low price guys, the guys that don't have this, they don't have the equipment that these other guys do. The only reason that you would stick them in your lineup is to be able to stick that top tier, like a bunch of guys in that top tier into your lineup. And this week, because Kyle Larson hit the wall, the car didn't pass inspection, he's starting 39th. This has caused some problems with roster construction. Trying to be different than everybody because, if you don't have him, like PJ said, you're going to be in trouble. But Corey LaJoie starting 40th, he's 4,800. I was messing around with some lineups like an hour ago, and if you put him in your lineup and then you plug Kyle Larson in and then you plug one of them other guys in, that leaves you with about 8,200 salary for your remaining 3 to 4 guys. For me, that looks so enticing. You got guys like Casey Kane in that price range, Eric Jones, Clint Boyer, Ryan Blaney, guys like that. Let's face it, those guys are the guys that could win you a GPP this week, other than the top tier. But for me, Corey LaJoie at 4,800. I don't want to spend too much time on him, but the things you can do with him outweighs, what he can do. But I was looking back at some results. He's came in the top 30 here recently. He's had some good runs. At the start of the year, he couldn't finish a race, but he's starting to put it together. And I think I seen somewhere where he won a go-kart race this weekend. So he's got a little confidence. He didn't qualify, so his tires are going to be a little bit fresher than some of these other guys in front of him. The guys in front of him aren't that good either. So I think he'll quickly find himself around 30th here with 10, 15 laps if he can pass them. We'll get into that later about passing. But with that being said, I'll quit talking about him, and we'll let PJ move on to the next tier.
Yeah, just a quick thing on Corey LaJoie. Ever since you mentioned that, I went in and started to build a lineup, and They actually came out with a pretty nice lineup that, and maybe we'll talk about at the end of the show. But it's interesting too because he is starting dead last. As long as you avoid some wrecks, it's such a long race, so it's kind of a war of attrition. But
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. But it's interesting because it's really hard to choose from the top tier this week, and you're gonna have to get it right. So being able to have a couple different combinations of those guys will certainly help, and he kind of allows that. But from there, we're going to go, again, I used the term 2 weeks ago, but we'll do it again. It's the weekly installment of the Ryan Newman section of the show. Starting 17th, 7,300. It's insanely cheap. I don't get it. We were really, really, really set up nicely.
Oh, yeah.
2 weeks ago before he blew up. Like, if he didn't blow up, that was shaping up to be a big week.
And you got me on him. I finally put him in some lineups, and I was looking golden until boom.
It was incredible. It was – yeah. Middle of the race, we were looking great. He was in the top 10 and having a great run, and, stuff happens. I think they never even really went back and said exactly, like, what happened, but I thought I heard on the radio that he said a spring rubber went through the front end of the car and just blew a hole right in the block. So, because there was no smoke, there's no nothing. Like, that's got to be the worst luck. Like,
that sums up DFS for us the past month.
But here we go. Longest race of the year, my favorite grinder on the series, and he has a pretty good car. Single lap, he was 6th in happy hour. 10 lap, he was 13th. So I know it's a little bit different again with the scenario of day practice to a night race, but just give me the grinder for the long races. Give me my Ryan Newman. And he's starting 17 too, so he's in that same spot where he always is. Like, there's enough upside. Yes, there's downside, but give me my Ryan Newman this week.
And to add to that point, I was looking earlier, I think he's came in the top 10 3 of the past 4 races here. So this is a pretty good track for him. Let's move on to my guy, AJ Allmendinger, king of the bad luck. He's one of the king of the bad lucks here lately. For me, 6,700. He's never a safe option, as these past couple weeks have shown. But I was starting to look, and I'm a big opponent of looking on Twitter at the teams, the tweets. And it seemed like they were really happy with their car, what they did. They made some adjustments. They really seemed to be happy with it. And, that goes to your point of a grinder. This guy, he's one of those grinders, if he has a good car, can stay out of trouble. He has, for him, it's pretty good track history here. This is one of his better intermediate tracks. He's known for road courses, but this has probably been one of his better, like I said, intermediate tracks. And the practice speeds, they're not going to blow you away by any means. But, he starts, 26th. If you can get 15th out of him, which he's capable of doing, there's bound to be a couple mistakes up there in the top 15, and I'm sure he can take advantage. There's cars up there that he's better than. So, for me, I'm not going to be too heavy on him. Never be too heavy on this guy unless you're at a road course, like I said. But, 6,700, you don't want Danica Patrick here. After last week, I'm probably never going to play her again. Don't even get me started on her. But that's who I'm going to go with. I'm not going to spend too much time on him just because, it's probably not going to be worth everyone's time to just sit here and talk about AJ Allmendinger. But we'll move on to PJ's second guy here.
Yeah, so we're going to go Ty Dillon here. Starts 27th. He's 6,900. Yeah, he didn't show great single lap. He was 17th in 10 lap. But I just like the guys, especially the younger guys that run the Xfinity race the day before. The track is going to definitely be different. It's obviously a night race. They ran today in the day, and they had the compound on the track, and the rain tonight is most likely going to wash that away. So we're probably not going to see, the 3-4 even grooves kind of that was in the Xfinity race. But that being said, he's been surprisingly good this year at being a grinder. Like yes, it's an RCR kind of cousin car, if you will. But it's not the best equipment, but he's certainly getting more out of it than Casey Mears ever did.
Yeah.
And again, he's somebody that could be overlooked this week. I'm looking for somebody for place differential to throw in with my Dominators, and he's cheap enough where he fits in for me. So there's no reason to love him, but I just think it's a solid play, and there's not much negative that comes with him.
Yeah, like I said, you can't go wrong at this point with him just because he starts 27th. And he's, like you said, he's been decent all year. I'm going to touch base on one other guy here real fast, Daniel Suarez. I think I've touched base on him once. It's like all of our shows.
Yeah.
I've not really been on him much. But this week he starts 20th. I think, 20th. And where Ryan Newman has dropped salary, I think a little bit more people will be on him. I don't think a lot of people is going to be on Daniel Suarez. So for me, he was pretty fast in practice. So I'd say, put him in some lineups, but don't go overweight on him. But we'll move on to the next section. And let's see, you want to go first?
Sure, yeah. We're going to go Dale Jr. here. Starting 19th, 7,900. That's really cheap for Junior. And I know I think I said it a couple weeks ago. It might have been 3 or 4 weeks ago at this point, but he's just still plummeting.
Yeah.
And they just haven't quite figured it out. They were so bad last week for the All-Star race. He basically said, I never want to see this car ever again at this racetrack. It's frustrating to see him like this, and I'm sure it's frustrating for him too. But, as we talked about, we like to peruse on Twitter and kind of figure out what's going on here. And he said that, him and Jimmy Johnson actually this week bounced ideas off each other more than usual. So obviously one of Jimmy Johnson's best tracks. They got to get it turned around at some point. It's his last possibly Coke 600. I'm just at the point where I'm just going to play him until they turn it around. And I think this week is going to be a decent week. I mean, he was 7th in single lap too, in happy hour. Didn't run a 10 lap. I don't really know what to make of that for happy hour because, like I said, they're practicing in the day. They're racing. Yes, it's starting at like dusk, and it's going to change a ton. And I don't really want to look into the practice times like so much, but the single lap is a good sign that there is actually speed in the car.
Yeah, I like him too this week. I'm going to move on to Casey Kane. So Casey Kane's an interesting play every week because you never know what Casey Kane's going to show up. It could be the Casey Kane of the non-car that we used to see, or it could be the Casey Kane that we've known for the past 2 years. And, he's just there. He's just there. He can come up there in the top 10 every now and then, but he's going to stay around 12th, 13th. But this track, he's great at this track. There's no hiding it. The practice, he likes his car. I think Darrell Waltrip was talking about him. He really liked him in practice. So for me, track history is enough for me to just say, fire him up. He starts, let's see, what's he start? 24th. So this guy, he's did nothing but be impressive here. And, when he stayed out of trouble, he's came in the top 10. So for me, 8,000 for a guy that's won here, I think 4 times. Just fire him up. If you're playing cash, I think he's a must-have in cash. And, like I said, if you plug LaJoy in, this is one of the guys you can plug in your lineup. So,
yeah,
that's all I really can say about him.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to move on to Chase Elliott, who is possibly my favorite play this week. Starting third, 9,300. Third and 10 lap. Again, I know I just said that I'm not going to put too much into practice, but again, like when you're talking like top 5 speeds in practice in a certain segment, like that's something that you should look at. And like that's something to take at least with you. He is definitely he's like so close to being able to like just fully grabbing a race and dominating it. I'm not like saying he's gonna definitely dominate obviously tomorrow or anything like that, but he is now up in the discussion almost on a weekly basis that is a possibility with him. It's no longer a long shot. Like it's almost expected. And they're gonna get over that hump and he's gonna dominate a race. And I think this is a great opportunity for him. So for me, I love him. I know people are going to be all over Harvick, going to be all over Busch, all over Truex. I hope he goes overlooked.
Yeah, I'll love him this week too. To your point, so many people are going to be on those guys, and this guy he starts third. So, and it goes back to the segments. You got so many different opportunities here for him to grab it, and he looks good in practice. And to your point, I mean, he's going to be low owned for something he shouldn't be.
I hope.
Yep. And so I'm going to go with Matt Kenseth as my other driver. And obviously I could go Clint Boyer here. I could go Denny Hamlin. Though Denny Hamlin's been good here, but I haven't seen enough from him lately to, jump on him. But I haven't seen nothing from Matt Kenseth either, but that's going to go to my point. He's 8,700. He starts fourth. Now, when he starts fourth, you want laps led. If you watch practice again, it goes back to watching practice and hearing all of guys. Toyotas unloaded fast this week. Joe Gibbs Racing, they've got something figured out this week. So if it's not Kyle Busch, I think it's Matt Kenseth out of Joe Gibbs. We'll get to Truex later, but he's really good in practice. And if you look at the driver ratings, he's all over the top right there. He's top 5, pretty sure. I was looking at it an hour ago. I can't think of the exact number off my head, but he's like 4th or 5th. He's top 5. And this is a race, he could jump up there and surprise people. I know he led earlier on in the year. I think it was – I forget what race it was, but he led so many laps. He fell off, and we never heard from him again. But this guy's a veteran. You talk about grinders. He finds himself up there at the end in most races. It takes a while for him to he takes advantage of other people's mistakes, and this is a perfect race for him, and that's why he's so good at this track is, taking advantage of other people's problems and stuff like that. So I'm not saying that you should pick him, but he's going to be an awesome GPP play because starting fourth, not a lot of people. They're going to be all over, like PJ just said, Harvick, Truex, Busch, Johnson, them guys. So I think, he's like Chase Elliott. He's going to go under-owned, and maybe he shouldn't. But we're going to take our chances this week and hope for the best. So with that being said, we'll move on to the next range.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of decided that this week is so incredibly top-heavy, and you're going to have to get it right. So as far as just, like, picking out one, you can honestly go wherever you want in that top range. For me, the only 2 guys that I don't like are Keselowski and Logano. But I can certainly see, why people – almost would like Logano because everybody is basically saying jump ship on him, and that is a great time to jump on the ship. I just don't know, for me personally, if I can pull a trigger at 9,600. He would literally you would have to have him in the top 5 to justify that price without leading laps. Just for me, the chances of that happening, for me personally, are just so slim. So I'm off of him. Obviously, people are going to play Harvick, pole sitter. People are going to play Truex from last year's race. I get it. But, even just from the All-Star race last week, it just doesn't look like Truex has been comfortable yet this year here. Obviously, they know how to get it done. They have before. He completely dominated this race last year. I'm pretty sure it was all but 6 laps. Might have been 8 laps. I think the segments are going to break it up, though. 4 guaranteed yellows, more pit stops. I just can't imagine like one guy dominating this race like he did last year. So just take your shots with different pieces in the top.
And yeah, you saying about Logano jumping ship. For me, I'm one of them guys that's going to jump ship this week. Look, we bashed Keselowski. I think it was like a month ago. If it was a month ago, he started 15th. Horrible car in practice. Didn't know what he was doing. I think Paul Wolf may have not even been there either. So I mean, there were so many things stacked in the box against him, and nobody picked him. I think I sit up here and bashed him and said, "Do not pick him." But I had him on my GPP list because no one would be on him. But this Logano, you look at driver rating here. You look at everything. Everything points to pick Logano except for, the all-star race and in practice. He doesn't show any speed. But for me, when you look at driver rating, driver history, he's led a good chunk of laps in the past 4 races here. He's so good here. I think he might – did he win the all-star race? Who won the all-star race last year? I think it was him.
I think it actually was him last year.
Yeah. See, I mean, this guy is so good here. It's so hard for me to think that these guys cannot figure out something by tomorrow. It just blows my mind that starting 23rd, any other week we would be salivating out of our mouth to pick Logano, starting 23rd at Charlotte. But like you said, he's 9,600, and everybody's so scared because of his practice speeds. I am too, but I'm just saying if you don't have him, you're risking maybe winning a GPP and just throwing out a random lineup with him in it because anything can happen. We've seen it. We overrate practice so much, and that's one thing that I'm going to start, not looking – I'm going to start looking at it less because these people – the crew chiefs are so smart. What they can do with the cars, they can just – flick of the finger, and the car is that much better. So, I wouldn't go heavy on them. I wouldn't go. I probably wouldn't even go 20%. But to fade Logano, not have any of them, just makes no sense to me. How good he is here, that's got to be worth something. So, all I'm saying is don't overrate practice speeds. But and to add on to Truex, the only thing I can say is a mile and a half. I think that's the only thing I can say to that is, I said it 2 weeks ago, him and Harvick. That's the 2 guys when you go to a mile and a half. Those 2 are at the top right now. And for me, I'm probably a little bit more on Truex than you are. I think it's going to come down between 3 guys. This is me personally. I think it's going to be Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, and Truex. And I think that Chase Elliott or one of them guys we talked about earlier, I think one of them. So essentially it's going to be 4 guys. I'm not sure who that 4th is going to be, but I think those 3 are going to lead some laps. And I think Jimmy Johnson, I'll touch base on him here in a second. I'll get your thoughts on him too.
Yeah.
But for me, Truex, I just can't see it. I just can't see him not leading laps. He may have struggled in practice, but for me, it's just so hard to not play him, after what he did 2 weeks ago and what he's done this past 2 years.
Right.
Which, real fast, I see a lot of people, they're saying all in on Harvick. And I think me and you might be one of the 2 that are not that much on him. Like, we're on him, but we're not going to go overweight on him.
Yeah.
Tell people why you're not that overweight on him.
I mean, again, it's like it's the segments, like for me, and I know I'm bummed out, that it's going to rain and it's going to take off, some of that substance on the track because in the Xfinity race, you're actually able to make passes today. I'm so worried that the rain is going to get rid of that and it's just going to be a bottom groove racetrack. And so, yeah, he may lead a portion of the race. So, like, yeah, you're not gonna fade him, and especially if you think he's gonna lead 50 to 100 laps. Like, you can't fade him. not what I'm saying. I'm not all in like people are. I don't see a world where we get a Truex performance like last year where it's one Dominator and that's it. I just don't see it. The segments are just adding a whole new way like that this race is going to go. Like it's not going to happen like it did last year. Like it's not going to be, all these green flag pit stops. Boom, he's out of the pits and nobody even has a chance. Like it's just not going to happen. There's at least 4 guaranteed yellows. Yellows are going to breed yellows because in order to pass, especially here now, if that substance goes away, is on restarts. So guys are going to be really, really aggressive and I don't know. I'm so like I can't wait like to watch the race, hopefully, but I don't want to be in the middle of this race and be like, oh my gosh, like you can't pass the leader. I hate these kind of races. The All-Star race, like I said, was horrible last week, and I really, really, really hope that it's not like that. But we'll see. But I can't justify like going way overweight on Harvick because I don't think he's going to lead half the race. If I thought he was going to lead half the race, yeah, sure, go, of course. But I just don't see it.
I agree with you 100%. And to even add on to that, this is my theory. Take it how it is. I'm not the smartest guy in the industry by any means. Probably not the dumbest either. But Kyle Busch on restarts, and after seeing the Xfinity race today, that the inside or outside line on a restart, it just depends on who's pushing you, I think, at this point. So it's just going to depend on who pushes him to the start. But I think Kyle Busch, I mean, this man, like I've said this many of times, a late race restart, I'm taking Kyle Busch over the field on a restart. He's just that good at restarts. So my theory is he's going to get out there to Harvick, and to your point, he's going to lead most of that segment. So for me, I'm not saying, like you said, I'm not saying fade Harvick, but I just don't see why you should go 100%. I think Truex is a better play than Harvick this week. And I know that a lot of people like you that think, he's probably third or fourth of the options, but I'm going to keep playing Truex until he kills me. He's killed me when I don't have him. So like you said, I mean, don't fade Harvick. That's the main point here, but we're not saying, I think what we're saying is don't go 100% on him because he does start first. Right. And if he just so happens to lead 20 laps, I mean, and he wrecks, you're going to be screwed. So, I mean, anything can happen here. Harvick's had bad luck in the past, but, we're not going to put luck into it. But, I mean, like I said, just don't go 100% on him. Right. I think, like we've touched base on Larson. If you don't have Larson, what are you doing? But, like I did one week, I think I faded him and Kenseth, and that was a rough week for me. But this week, he looks like he has one. We got to talk about him more, I think, because he is going to lead some of these laps, I believe. He's got a top 3 car, I think, Kyle Larson does. So we're probably not talking about him as much as we should because this is a DFS show. But
yeah, just play him. Just play him, like 100%. Don't even think twice. 100%.
Maybe if you're playing like 100 or 200 lineups, maybe one.
Maybe one.
Yeah.
So 99%. Like, oh my gosh, I would not be under 90% on him at all. Like I'm having him in 100% of my lineups. It's not even worth messing around with. He is probably going to be my pick to win the race.
He's one of my options. Let's touch base on Kyle Busch, and then we'll hop to Jimmy Johnson, and then we'll close the show on that. I said Kyle Busch is probably going to jump on the restart and pass Harvick and lead most of that first segment. What's your thoughts on Kyle Busch this week?
Nothing more to say than what you did. He won the All-Star race on a restart.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that. Adds to the point.
He's definitely the best at it. They'll be around. Like I said, JGR supposedly found something this week. He's obviously going to be one of them up there. He could lead a portion of the race. That's what I'm saying. You mix in just it's a great multi-entry week, just because you can mix in, the Harvicks, the Bush, the Chase Elliott's, the Truex, and you can just all those different combinations, with some of the cheaper guys. And
I got to give you credit real fast because I got to give you credit. 2 weeks ago, I think you were all over Kyle Busch at that cheap of an option, and I don't think a lot of people were. And
he was 24%, I think, owned or something like that.
What happened? He led a good chunk of the race. So I got to give you props on that because I totally forgot about that. But that's great call. If a Ryan Newman call to work too,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, so many things. But yeah, I think that settles it for Kyle Busch. You can't fade him. I think you got to have a good chunk of him this week.
More of him than Harvick for me.
I think for me too.
Yeah.
Let's see. We're gonna close on Jimmy Johnson. 10,200. He starting 14th. A guy that starts 14th and he can lead laps is a guy that I'm gonna be jumping all over. He seems to like his car. Chad Canal said at the end of practice, if you follow them Lowe's Racing on Twitter, he said, good way to close practice. Seems very confident in the car. Like I said, this is one of their best tracks. He definitely knows how to get around here.
Yeah.
Maybe if he's starting 5th, I wouldn't be all over him like I am, but man, starting 14th and he can lead laps, and it just seems like a no-brainer for me to. I think I might have him like I do Harvick. That might be a little too much, but I just really feel good about Jimmy Johnson this week. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, 100%. It's Jimmy Johnson at Charlotte. I mean, and like you said, starting 14th, it's a nice chance for upside. If he's starting in the top 5, there's not going to be as much there. But yeah, I mean, starting 14th, he is expensive. So you're going to have to kind of jockey some stuff around. That might be the Corey LaJoy, Ty Dillon mix and match lineup with Larson and Johnson, and if you can fit in Kane and Newman or something like that. I haven't even tried to build it yet, but that's pretty much what it would have to look like. But I mean, you're paying up for guys that are not only in pretty good, especially Larson, obviously the place differential potential, but I mean Johnson too. Like if you move up and he say wins the race, that's 13 place differential points and laps led. They both can lead laps. I don't know.
I don't think many people's are going to be on Jimmy Johnson like that.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say too, because roster construction, people are going to go to Harvick, people are going to go to Truex. I hope he gets overlooked. Again, he's just, for me, definitely try to get, obviously, as everybody knows now that has watched this, listened to this throughout the whole year, I like to get the guys under-owned. And if Jimmy Johnson's going to be under-owned at Charlotte, starting 14th,
Exactly. Yeah. Fire him up. That's,
no doubt.
That's really all you can say about that. So we're done with that. We'll close it out on what we always do. I'll start out with most DK points. I think as a no-brainer, like PJ was saying earlier, I think Kyle Larson, I think he scored – I mean, it's the most logical choice, obviously. Yeah. But a guy that's starting 39th, and I do believe he's going to lead some laps. He probably leads the last 50 or 20 or something on a restart. I don't know. He's going to lead laps if he can stay out of trouble. So, I mean, I'll go with him as a no-brainer. Who are you going to go with if not him? If not him, let's play that theoretically.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's obviously the pick. Starting 39th with the potential to lead laps, it's a no-brainer. But if we're going to go without him, I'm just going to go Kyle Busch because I think he has a greater potential to lead more laps than Harvick, and that's just the difference. I think he has a potential. He, in my estimation, has a greatest chance of leading the most laps in this race. So I'll go him for most points.
I would agree with that. Okay, to close out the show, who do you have winning the race?
Chase Elliott.
Boom.
This is finally his time.
Anything to add to that? Or
Nope.
it's a out bold. I like it.
No, I just feel good about it.
I do too.
It's time, and this is a great race to win. So I think he's gonna win.
All right. I think I've nailed one of these all year long, so I'm not too good at this, but actually two, make it two because I nailed Truex last week. So
Yeah.
oh man. I don't want to go with somebody. I want to go with somebody that's not being talked about.
Yeah, see that's the fun of it. Like, yeah, if you want to be boring, go Harvick or Truex, but I don't want to be boring, so Chase Elliott.
Man, you know what? I'm just going to stick with my gut here. Jimmy Johnson. You know what the heck? I mean, he's how many races he won this year? 2 or 3. I mean, didn't this track used to be called Lowe's?
Yeah.
I mean, there you go.
Oh yeah.
They got this place. This is Jimmy Johnson Motor Speedway. So
absolutely.
I think that's it. All right. So to close out the show, obviously, if you guys follow me, you know I started the website up. It's called The Sports Force. I know we've changed the name a couple times. Sorry about that. This is going to be the last time we change it. What we're hoping to do here in the near future is we're looking for an MLB guy and a PGA guy currently. We got NFL covered. We'll be adding a couple people to that, but me and PJ will be on NFL too. We'll keep doing this. We'll keep doing this show, I think, till football season. I think we may convert over to a football show. I think you guys will probably like that a little bit better anyway. But for you NASCAR guys, we appreciate your support. We hope you keep following us because, I mean, that's what made us. So, yeah, so if you could go follow the Sports Force on Twitter, trying to rack that up. Obviously, not a lot of content's going out right now, but I will be doing a lineup building YouTube tomorrow. Have nothing better to do, so if you want a GPP lineup just to throw in, I will be doing one of those tomorrow as well. Let's see if I can think of anything else. I think that's about it. If you haven't checked out the website, it's tsfsports.com. I'm editing it every day now. I keep adding stuff to it. I think that's about it. If you guys like the show today, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. We're almost to 100, believe it or not. We're making great progress. I can't thank you guys enough. We added like 10 last week, so if we could add 10 again this week, it'd be great. And to get back to the track real fast, it's pouring rain out here. I'm sure you guys can see lightning in the background out of the reflection and stuff. Whatever they say about the sticky stuff on the track, do not pay attention to it. That's the last thing I can say about that. Like I said, if you like the show, like the video, subscribe to our channel, and best of luck this week. Hopefully we help you guys win some money. I know we've been doing pretty well at that. We've been helping someone every week win some money, so hope for the best. Good luck to you guys, and we will see you later.
Good luck, guys.